video is a sponsored one. Sort of. Kind of. More on that in a bit. Now, when I was a teenager, there was this particular brand of romance novels, specifically Christian romance novels, that I read a ton of. Yes, people, I was born to a Christian family, grew up in a Christian household, grew up, realized Christianity was not for me, and walked away. But I do still respect those who practice the religion, in a way that Jesus would be proud of, not the cosplaying as Pharisees and Sadducees that a lot of people seem to be doing these days. If you are a Christian, I can respect that. If you're a pagan like me, hello. If you're a Buddhist, Muslim, you follow Hinduism, you're an atheist or agnostic, that is perfectly fine too. Everybody is welcome. So, as I was saying, back when I was a teenager, I got really into Christian romance novels. And before you attempt to say Francine Rivers, please, God's no, that woman wouldn't know a romance if it hit her on the side of her head. Nope, I am referring to the ones that were eerily similar to the old Harlequin Presents novels with the white background and the image in the center. Yes, people, I am referring to the Heart Song Present romances. I devoured those books as a teen. And my favorite subgenre to read in that publication were the Western stories, particularly the ones that had the characters situated at the frontier. Why, you wonder? I don't know. It's kind of similar to my love for Regency romances. I really appreciate getting to read about women who are navigating their lives and their loves within such an otherwise restrictive society and seeing how they are able to make it work to their advantage and find love in the process. Plus, it makes me appreciate modern conveniences like a flushing toilet. All of this to say that When the Wind Blows, which is the movie I am talking about today and is the very basis for this video and its title, fits right into this. Now, like I said earlier, this is a sponsored video, sort of. I was not paid a dime for making this review. Instead, what I got was early access to watch the film and share my thoughts on it, which I am doing right now because, like I mentioned in my last YouTube post, I have had internet issues for the last couple of days, which gave me enough time to sit with some of my pre-saved movies and shows and play catch up with them. When the Wind Blows is one of such films, and I will say right off the bat, the acting might have been a bit cheesy in some parts, the plot very convenient, and I'm sure you would see some of the twists coming, but what the film does well in my book is to be filled with a lot of heart and show a picture of a woman just trying to survive and triumphing at the end with her six packs having husband, almost full grown kids, a bestie next door, and a double shot barrel shotgun to take out all her troubles. And I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty damn good to me. But before I keep going on and on, When the Wind Blows is a new Western film adapted from Caroline Fife's novel of the same name, starring Trevor Donovan, Ashley Elaine, C. Thomas Howell, Michelle Hurd, Locklyn Munro, Rob Meyers, Colin Egglesfield, Don Swayze, and a host of others that follows the romance between Chase Long and Jesse Strong and the family that they create together. I am not going to go into too much details on it as I do think that some of you watching might actually enjoy getting to experience this film on your own, especially since it's coming to Amazon and Apple TV slash iTunes, depending on where you either rent or purchase your movies from, come Friday, October 24th. But to give you an idea of what the film is about and bring us back to the title of this video, the story kicks off with Chase at a saloon with Nathan Strong. If you just went all, wait, Strong, hold up, Noria, didn't you say that the female character in this romance film is Jessie Strong? Is she the sister or daughter of Nathan? Neither. She's his wife. Or at least was his wife. Because you see, Nathan was playing cards, someone cheated, and because it's the frontier, guns were drawn, and Nathan was killed. And so the honors falls on his much younger friend, Chase. This age difference is important, by the way, for the romance, to go to his house and deliver the tragic news of his passing to his wife, Jessie. Jesse, who is much younger and way hotter than Chase could have ever imagined. And I mean, can you blame him? Ashley Lane is so fine. Actually, so is Trevor Donovan when you think about it. Matter of fact, all the characters in this film are either fine or cute. If you see anyone who gives you the ick, know that they're a villain. Anyway, Chase comes to deliver the news, and Jesse is, as expected, devastated. Now, for a while, I was curious about why she was that sad because the brief glimpse we saw of Nathan before his ass got shot, he wasn't the model husband and was flirting with the saloon girls. So, on one hand, I was like, girl, I get it. You're sad. Let it all out. But on the other hand, I was like, girl, that man ain't shit. Stop crying over him. Because for a moment there, I had forgotten the setting within which this story was taking place. They are on the frontier. So, of course, she doesn't have the rights that would be due her now that she's a widow. And this is something that makes her panic quite a bit because Jessie grew up as an orphan. And whilst at the orphanage, there was a young girl, Sarah, who she was quite protective of. And her plan was to adopt her now that she's married to Nathan. But there's no way she would be allowed to adopt a child as an unmarried woman, widow though she may be. And that is where Chase comes in because she pleads with him to pretend to be Nathan so that she can adopt Sarah and give her a home, as she is very aware that the orphanage is not the right place for her. As I'm sure you can guess, this is one of my favorite parts of the film because I am a sucker for the shenanigans that follow the pretend to be dating or pretend to be married trope. And they did lean into that with this film, complete with the she's your wife, isn't she? Why aren't you sharing the same bed with her? Bit that had me cackling like a loon at my TV. My second favorite part is Jesse with his shotgun, smoke blazing after she just fired it because I'm a sucker for the she can defend herself moment. Thank you very much. All in all, Chase steps up because he is a decent man and certain things bring even more complications into his life, proving that no good deed goes unpunished. But as I was saying, I am not going to go beyond this point in my synopsis as I want you to enjoy the rest of the film on your own, should you choose to watch it. I found it a very decent portrayal of a woman who is, like I said, burdened by the sudden death of her husband and is thrown to the wilds until she throws out a lifeline that is caught and held by a man who steps up and who she eventually falls in love with. Now, did I think that the romance was a bit rushed? Yes, a bit. But I do make allowances for movies because the watch time is short and this film is barely 90 minutes long. But what I would say is that I finished it with one character as my absolute favorite. And as I'm sure it comes as no surprise to anyone who's watched my content and knows the soft spot I have for women who define their own stories and take matters into their own hands, Jessie did some mild scheming to get what she wanted, and I found myself applauding her for it. There's a bit in the film where we get information about how she ended up with Nathan. As it turns out, their marriage really isn't as orthodox as one would have expected. And to see how she tried to make do, to see how far she's come and the choices she's made to get there is one that I applaud. Plus, she really does have luck on her side because the way everything resolves with Nathan was just a neat, tidy bow on top of the bunch. I mean, who said you can't meet the love of your life when it comes to deliver news of your husband's passing to you? And you find yourself drugging him with a sedative so that the orphanage director would see him waking up from your room the next morning, cementing the perception that said man is your husband. And so you have all the rights and backing needed to adopt the little girl you've always sought to protect and the little boy who is also desperate for her home. It was such a great scene for me. And I also really enjoyed the fact that at the core of this film, it's about this disparate group of characters coming together to find home with each other and become the family that they all needed. Whether it is Sarah who has to adapt to a new life where she isn't in an orphanage, where she's locked in a room as a punishment, or Gabe who was about to be tossed out of said orphanage because they have too many mouths to feed, or Chase, who believes he keeps failing everyone who is dependent on him and is terrified of adding more people to that list for fear of failing them too, or Jesse, who's had to make hard decisions to survive and to protect the girl who is like a daughter to her while she's trying to make sense of this larger world within which she's been thrown. Found family is one of my absolute favorite tropes in stories, as it is something that resonates heavily within me due to my own childhood. And I'm not going to lie, that part at the end, when Chase tells Gabe, "You did good, son," and Gabe lights up with that smile, it got me in the gut. When the Wind Blows as a film is a reminder to us all to never assume that a tragic event is the end of our story. You never can tell what the wind would bring to your door next, and how, in turn, that can change what you had always thought and assumed. Because we are all deserving of a better life and of happier times. And that is the type of message I tend to appreciate, especially when it's coming from Indo titles like this one at a time like this one. Of course, I will at some point pick up the novel itself by Caroline Fife to see what changes were made, if any, as I think I would enjoy the novel as well, especially if Teenage Frontier Stories loving Noria has anything to say about it. But yes, I would, as always, love to hear your thoughts. Does this film sound like something you might be interested in? Would you check it out when it comes out on Friday? What is the one trope in a book, a movie, or a show that never fails to get to you and would always have you delving and reaching for that particular story? Please let me know your responses in the comments. Like this video if you've watched this far and haven't done so yet. Share this if you want. Support me on Patreon if you can. If you can't, however, do consider checking out my other channels. One is my gaming channel and the other is my ASMR content. I have both linked in the description box if they sound like something you might be interested in. Whichever the case may be, however, I will see you tomorrow with a new video. Until then, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.